Story 1. My TV sang to me, and now I live in a Marshmallow Castle with my Pharaoh Cat. Submitted by Cloud9 Connoisseur. So I was lounging on my couch, staring at my TV, which had decided to only display static. Instead of fixing it, I figured the universe was sending me a message, so I started staring deeply into the hypnotic dance of black and white fuzz. That's when it happened. The static began to form patterns, and those patterns started to form words, and those words began to sing to me. Yeah, the TV was singing. It crooned about how my cat, Mr. Whiskers, was actually the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who had come back to guard my apartment from bad vibes and expired milk. I found this oddly comforting, so I looked over at Mr. Whiskers, who was sitting in the corner, glaring at the refrigerator with an intensity I had never seen before. I knew then that he was protecting me from the sinister dairy lurking inside. Feeling inspired, I decided to go for a walk. As I stepped outside, I noticed the sidewalk had transformed into a giant conveyor belt, smoothly carrying me down the street. I waved at my neighbors, who were all inexplicably dressed as giant fruits. There was Bob, the cantankerous old man from next door, dressed as a pineapple, and Mrs. Johnson from across the street was a rather delightful strawberry. They waved back cheerily. Because why wouldn't they? We were all just floating along on the conveyor belt of life. As I glided past the park, I saw a unicorn. Naturally, I wasn't even slightly surprised. It was a pastel rainbow of colors and was prancing around, sprinkling glitter that smelled like freshly baked cookies. I gave it a thumbs up and it winked at me with a sparkle in its eye. I knew this was a sign that my day was going exactly as it should. I eventually floated into a grocery store where the aisles were stocked with the most delicious-looking clouds. I picked a particularly fluffy one and took a bite. It tasted like cotton candy and sunshine. As I wandered through the store, I noticed all the cashiers were robots with friendly faces and voices that sang every price. I found myself dancing to the rhythm of their melody, picking up items I didn't need but absolutely had to have, because they were glowing with an otherworldly light. When I finally floated back home, I noticed my apartment had transformed into a majestic castle in the clouds. Mr. Whiskers was there, wearing a tiny crown and cape, looking rather pleased with himself. I sat on my new golden throne, feeling a sense of peace and happiness I had never experienced before. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any better, a parade of elephants made of marshmallows marched through my living room, playing trumpets that shot out rainbows. I laughed until I cried, knowing that I'd finally found my place in the universe. Everything was perfect, absurdly, beautifully perfect, which is why I love summer nights.
Story 2. I wrote a Tuxedo-Wearing Unicorn into Pure Bliss, submitted by Gummy Bear Goddess. All right, buckle up, because I've got a story for you that'll twist your brain into a pretzel and leave you grinning like a Cheshire cat. So there I was, sitting on my couch in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, right? I'd just finished binge-watching a documentary about synchronized swimming hamsters. Don't ask, it was a weird day already. When suddenly my living room floor started shimmering like a disco ball at Studio 54. I blinked, and poof, there was a door. Not just any door, mind you, but a neon pink door with a handle shaped like a giant gummy bear. Being the curious soul that I am, I had to open it. So I twisted the gummy bear handle, which was oddly satisfying, and stepped through. Instantly, I was enveloped in what I can only describe as a cloud made entirely of cotton candy and marshmallow fluff. The air smelled like vanilla and happiness, and the ground was bouncy like one of those inflatable castles you see at kids' birthday parties. And then, out of nowhere, a unicorn pranced up to me. Not just any unicorn, but a rainbow-maned unicorn wearing aviator sunglasses and a sparkly tuxedo. It looked at me and said, "Yo, Amanda, ready for the ride of your life?" I was like, heck yeah, because obviously. So I hopped on, and off we went, zooming through this candy-floss sky. We whizzed past floating islands where the trees were made of gummy bears and the rivers flowed with chocolate milk. Birds chirped in perfect harmony to an 80s synth-pop soundtrack, and the sun beamed down with a warmth that felt like a cozy hug from a giant teddy bear. After what felt like minutes but also eons, time was weird in this place. We landed in a field of giant flowers, each one a different flavor of ice cream. I reached out to taste one, and it was like licking pure joy. Suddenly, the ground rumbled and up popped a troop of dancing penguins in top hats and bow ties. They tap-danced around us, singing show tunes from Broadway musicals, their little feet clicking in perfect rhythm. Just when I thought things couldn't get any better, a giant panda on roller skates swooshed in, carrying a tray of champagne flutes filled with what looked like liquid stardust. We clinked glasses, and as I sipped, my entire being was filled with the most euphoric sensation. Colors became more vibrant, sounds more melodious, and I felt an overwhelming sense of peace and happiness. But wait, there's more. The unicorn, whose name was apparently Sparkle McFizz, said, "Amanda, it's time for the grand finale." With a flick of its tail, a gigantic screen descended from the sky, and the penguins handed me 3D glasses. The screen lit up, showing a montage of my life's best moments, each one more glorious and heartwarming than the last. I laughed, I cried, I danced with the penguins. Then, in the most surreal twist, the screen revealed a message. "Congratulations, Amanda. You've unlocked Ultimate Bliss mode." Fireworks exploded in the sky, and confetti rained down. A chorus of angels and penguins sang in perfect harmony, "For she's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny." The unicorn winked at me and said, "You did it, Amanda. Welcome to your personal heaven. Enjoy your stay." And with that, I was lifted into the air, floating on a cloud of absolute euphoria, my heart swelling with pure, unadulterated joy. And that, my friends, is how I ended up in the most blissfully absurd, delightfully insane heaven imaginable. No drugs needed, just a door, a unicorn, and a wild ride. Life is weird, but sometimes it's also ridiculously wonderful. And that's my story. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a date with some ice cream flowers and a dance-off with a panda.
Story 3. The Macarena in Marshmallow Clouds, Leo's Unforgettable Tuesday. Submitted by Leo the Cat. I can still feel the gentle sway of the giant marshmallow clouds beneath my paws as I recount this tale. It all started on a Tuesday, or was it a Thursday? Time is a peculiar concept when you're a magnificent orange Maine Coon named Leo, floating through a dreamscape of cotton candy skies and rivers of liquid gold. I was lounging on my favorite rainbow hammock, sipping from a goblet filled with sparkling stardust nectar, when the most curious thing happened. A herd of pastel-colored unicorns pranced by, their hooves tapping a rhythm that sounded oddly like the Macarena. Naturally, I decided to join in, my luxurious fur shimmering in the kaleidoscopic light of 1,000 miniature suns. Just as I perfected my dance moves, a portal opened up before me, swirls of lavender and mint green inviting me into its depths. I was compelled to step through, where I found myself in a forest where trees were made of giant, gummy bears. Each step I took was accompanied by a delightful squish. In this forest, I met a human named Dave. Dave was wearing a tuxedo made of glitter and seemed to be in a perpetual state of delight. He greeted me with a broad smile and a bouquet of singing daisies. "Leo, my feline friend, welcome to the forest of eternal happiness," he exclaimed. "We're about to have the most amazing adventure." We journeyed deeper into the forest, encountering a brigade of dancing pineapples and a choir of butterflies harmonizing to Bohemian Rhapsody. At the heart of the forest stood a grandiose castle made entirely of chocolate and peppermint, where the king of bliss, Mr. Snuggles, a plush teddy bear the size of an elephant, ruled with benevolence. Inside the castle, the walls were adorned with paintings that shifted and danced, depicting scenes of unending joy. The floor was a trampoline of bubble wrap, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh-baked cookies. Dave and I were greeted by a parade of sentient cupcakes who ushered us into the throne room. Mr. Snuggles sat upon his throne, his eyes twinkling with infinite kindness. "Leo, you've been chosen to join our realm of eternal euphoria," he said in a voice that resonated like a gentle purr. "But first, you must complete the rite of infinite fluffiness." With a flick of his paw, he summoned a river of the softest feathers. Dave and I were instructed to dive in and swim to the other side. As I paddled through the feather river, each stroke filled me with an overwhelming sense of serenity. When we emerged on the other side, we were greeted by a blindingly bright field of sunflowers that sang in perfect harmony. In the center of the field was a giant spinning wheel labeled Wheel of Absurdly Happy Endings. With great anticipation, I gave it a mighty spin. The wheel whirred and clicked, eventually landing on ultimate bliss. Instantly, a chorus of jubilant kazoos erupted around us. The sky rained down confetti, and a rainbow slid down to present us with a golden ticket. The ticket read, "Welcome to the land of perpetual purrs and belly rubs." Dave, Mr. Snuggles, and I leapt onto the rainbow and slid down into a valley where every moment was an endless loop of pure joy. We were surrounded by a menagerie of delightful creatures. Bunnies that bounced on trampolines, puppies that rolled in fields of lavender, and kittens that frolicked among sparkling fountains of milk. As I lay there, basking in the warmth of 1,000 suns and the gentle caress of the ever-present breeze, I realized that this was my heaven, an eternity of absurdly happy endings, wrapped in the blissful embrace of perpetual euphoria. And so, dear listener, if you ever find yourself wandering through a dreamscape of unending delight, look for me, Leo the orange Maine Coon. I'll be the one dancing with unicorns, sipping stardust nectar, and living my absurdly happy ending.